Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever felt like time has slipped through your fingers? Like years were stolen by failure, by tragedy, by choices you wish you could undo? Have you ever looked at your life and thought, this wasn't supposed to be my story? If you have, then listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you might just change your life. God restores. He restores lost years. He takes what was broken, what was wasted, and breathes life into it again. But how? How does he take the shattered pieces of our dreams and turn them into something beautiful? Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand that nothing, absolutely nothing, is beyond his power to redeem. Time. It is the one thing we can never seem to hold on to. The one thing that, once it slips away, we tell ourselves is gone forever. We watch the years pass and wonder where they went, how they vanished so quickly, how opportunities once so vibrant now seem like echoes of a life we were meant to live but never quite did. And then regret creeps in, like a shadow, whispering that the past is beyond our reach, that what has been lost cannot be restored. But is that really true? There is something deeper at play here, something unseen yet far more real than what the ticking clock on the wall would have you believe. What if the years you thought were wasted were actually seeds being planted beneath the surface? What if the mistakes, the delays, the wrong turns, and even the pain were not signs of loss, but of time in the hands of a greater power does not follow the rigid, unforgiving rules assigned to it? We measure life by minutes, days, and years, but there is a force at work that sees beyond all of that. What you call wasted, forgotten, or stolen can be restored in ways beyond imagination. A single moment of breakthrough can redeem decades of disappointment. A single encounter can open doors that once seemed permanently locked. History has proven this over and over again. The greatest victories often rise from the deepest failures. The most extraordinary transformations begin in the darkest seasons. There are stories of those who lost everything. Years of struggle, rejection, obscurity, only to be lifted into a purpose far greater than they ever dreamed possible. Not in spite of their lost time. We are quick to label certain years of our lives as useless, wasted, or irredeemable, but that is only because we cannot yet see the whole picture. There are times when doors close because they were never meant to lead where we thought they would. There are times when we are held back, not because we are unworthy, but because we are being prepared for something greater. There are delays that feel like punishment, but are actually protection. And there are moments of stillness that seem like failure, when in reality they are the foundation for something extraordinary. The truth is, restoration is not about turning back the clock. It is about multiplying what remains, about bringing forth something new from the ashes of what was. What you thought was lost can return to you in ways you never expected. The relationships that seemed broken beyond repair can be renewed. The dreams that felt too far gone can find new life. The purpose you believed had slipped through your fingers can come back stronger, richer, deeper than before, but only if you choose to believe that time is never truly lost. And yet, what happens when a dream shatters, when the very thing you held onto so tightly slips from your grasp? The pain of a broken dream can feel unbearable, like a cruel twist of fate that leaves you questioning everything. You gave it everything, you worked, you sacrificed, you held on to hope with both hands, and yet it slipped away. The door closed, the opportunity passed. The vision you once had for your life seems to have faded into nothing. This is where many give up. They tell themselves the dream is gone, that it was never meant to be, that they were foolish to believe in it in the first place. They resign themselves to mediocrity, to settling for less, to carrying the weight of disappointment wherever they go. But this is where the story should not end. Because what if the dream you lost was not destroyed, but simply being reshaped? What if what you thought was a failure was actually a redirection towards something far greater? Consider how often in life we chase after things that seem right at the time, only to later realize they were too small for us. A dream that doesn't come to pass the way we expected is not a sign that we were wrong to believe in it. It is a sign that there is more. that the chapter we thought was the conclusion was merely an introduction to something greater. Every broken dream carries within it a seed of something new, but that seed cannot grow if we remain fixated on what was lost instead of what can still be. The truth is, we often cling to our plans so desperately that we leave no room for anything better. We think we know what is best. We assume that because something made sense to us, it must have been the right path. But we are not the authors of time, nor are we the architects of the grand design that is our life. Some of the most remarkable lives have been shaped by doors that never opened, by plans that fell apart, by dreams that seemed to die. The artist who was rejected by every gallery until the world could no longer ignore him. The inventor who failed 1,000 times before changing the course of history. The leader who faced nothing but failure before stepping into the role they were always meant to have. They did not allow broken dreams to be the end of their story. They saw the pain, the disappointment, the rejection, and they used it. They allowed it to shape them, to refine them, to push them into something greater than they could have ever imagined. The question is not whether dreams break. They do. They will. The question is what you do with the pieces. Do you gather them up, hold them tightly, and mourn what was lost? Or do you allow something new to rise from the fragments? Because in the grand scheme of life, no experience is ever wasted. The struggles you faced, the doors that closed, the pain of watching something you loved slip away, these are not meaningless. They are not a cruel joke played by fate. They are the raw materials of your future. They are the lessons that will shape you, the strength that will carry you forward, the fire that will refine you into who you were always meant to become. So do not believe the lie that time is lost. Do not accept the notion that your broken dreams are the end. What if, instead of mourning the past, you embrace the possibility that something greater is still ahead? What if you stopped seeing lost years as wasted and started seeing them as preparation? What if you trusted that every setback, every delay, every closed door was leading you exactly where you were always meant to go? Because that is the truth. The best stories are never the ones where everything goes according to plan. They're the ones where redemption takes center stage, where what was broken is made whole, where what was lost is restored in ways far greater than we ever imagined. There are moments in life when silence surrounds you. You pray, you hope, you strive, yet nothing seems to move. The doors remain shut, the answers do not come. The world goes on around you, and you wonder if you have been forgotten. It is in these moments that doubt creeps in, whispering that perhaps nothing is at work in your favor, that perhaps you are standing still while the rest of the world moves forward, that maybe the dream, the purpose, the life you once envisioned is slipping away into nothingness. But that is not the truth. When nothing seems to be happening, something is always happening. Beyond what the eyes can see, beyond what the mind can comprehend, there is a process unfolding. The unseen work of transformation, of preparation, of molding you into the person you are meant to become. There are seasons in life where everything is visible, success, progress, recognition. And then there are the hidden seasons where nothing appears to change, where effort seems futile, where silence weighs heavy on the heart. These are the seasons that test the soul. But they are also the seasons that shape it. A tree does not bear fruit overnight. The seed disappears into the soil, buried beneath the weight of the earth, and for a time it looks like nothing is happening, no sign of growth, no evidence of progress. But beneath the surface, something extraordinary is taking place. Roots are forming, foundations are being laid, strength is being built where no one can see it. And then, at the right time, when the unseen work is complete, life bursts forth, stronger, deeper, more resilient than if it had been rushed, forced, or exposed before its time. It is difficult to trust in what cannot be seen, difficult to believe that silence does not mean absence, but the greatest transformations happen away from the eyes of the world, in the quiet, in the waiting, in the moments when it seems like nothing is working, everything is being put into place, and when the time is right, what was once hidden will be revealed. What once seemed delayed will suddenly arrive in fullness, because it was never denied, only prepared. This is where most people falter. They grow impatient in the waiting. They assume that if they cannot see progress, then progress must not exist. They abandon the process too soon, stepping away from what was about to unfold. But those who hold on, who trust in what is not yet visible, who understand that the most extraordinary things are always built in the unseen, will one day look back and realize that nothing was wasted. Nothing was idle. Everything was working towards something greater. And yet there is something more. It is not just about waiting. It is about surrendering, about letting go of the illusion that everything must happen on your terms, in your time, according to your plan. There is a weight that comes with control, an exhaustion that comes from gripping too tightly onto what you believe must happen. And when things do not unfold as expected, that weight grows heavier, dragging the spirit down, creating frustration, fear, and doubt. To surrender is not to give up, it is to release the burden of needing to know every answer, of needing to force every outcome. It is to understand that there is something greater at work, something beyond what the human mind can grasp, and that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to simply let go. When you surrender, you stop striving in vain. You stop running in circles, exhausting yourself with plans and expectations that may never have been meant for you in the first place. You begin to see that what felt like rejection was actually protection, that what seemed like failure was actually redirection, that what you lost was never truly yours to keep, and that what is meant for you cannot be taken away. It is meaningless and out. There is freedom in that. The freedom to trust that you are being led even when you do not know the way. The freedom to stop carrying the weight of the unknown and to start walking with confidence, knowing that every step, whether forward, backward, or seemingly nowhere, is part of a greater design. Many spend their lives resisting this. They cling to control, to certainty, to the need for immediate answers. But life does not bend to human demands, and those who refuse to release their grip will find themselves trapped in a cycle of frustration, unable to move forward, unable to find peace. But those who surrender, those who learn to trust in the unseen, to believe that silence does not mean abandonment, to release the need to control what was never theirs to control, those are the ones who find true restoration. The ones who wake up one day and realize that nothing was lost, that everything was unfolding exactly as it was meant to, that what they thought was an ending was only ever a beginning. And in that moment they understand. They see with clarity that the waiting was never about delay, the surrender was never about loss. It was all part of the path that led them not where they thought they should go, but exactly where they were meant to be. There is a dangerous illusion that grips the mind, the belief that the best moments are behind us, that somehow the brightest days have come and gone, and what remains is merely a slow descent into the ordinary. It is a lie, a cruel deception that robs people of their present and their future, leaving them prisoners of nostalgia and regret. But what if the greatest moments have yet to arrive? What if the years ahead hold more beauty, more purpose, more life than anything that has come before? Too many people live as though their story has already been written, as if they are merely turning pages toward an inevitable conclusion. They allow past mistakes to define them, lost opportunities to haunt them, and disappointment to shape their expectations. They stop dreaming, stop reaching, stop believing that something greater is possible. And yet, there are those who refuse to accept that lie, those who choose to believe that no matter what has been lost, what remains still holds infinite possibility, those who understand that the greatest transformations, the most extraordinary redemptions, often come after seasons of despair. Consider history's most remarkable lives, the stories of those who achieved the unimaginable. Time and again their greatest victories did not come in their youth, but in later years, after failures, after setbacks, after they had every reason to believe that their chance had passed. The world told them they were finished. Circumstances told them they had nothing left to give. But they refused to listen. They pressed forward, and because of that they stepped into something beyond anything they had known before. Age does not determine potential. Failure does not erase purpose. The loss of time, of relationships, of opportunities, none of it means that there is nothing left to hope for. It is often in the aftermath of loss that the greatest awakenings take place. The moment when a person stops looking backward and instead looks ahead, no longer burdened by what could have been, but fully alive to what still can be. That is where the shift happens. That is where the impossible becomes possible. There is no formula, no exact timing, no perfect conditions that make this happen. It is a decision, a choice to believe that if breath still fills the lungs, if the heart still beats, then there is more. More to give, more to build, more to experience. Those who embrace this truth step into a life that defies expectations. A life where restoration is not just a possibility, but a certainty. And when they reach the moments they once thought were unattainable, they look back and realize that everything, the struggle, the pain, the waiting, was leading them here all along. Yet it is not enough to believe this in theory. There must be action. There must be a willingness to rise from the ashes, to step forward even when the path is unclear, to trust that what was lost is not the end of the story. Faith is not passive. It is a force that moves mountains, that reshapes the impossible into the inevitable. There is something extraordinary about faith, not blind optimism, not wishful thinking, but true faith. The kind that looks at what seems broken beyond repair and says, "This is not the end." The kind that takes a life that appears wasted and believes it can still become something magnificent. The kind that refuses to be bound by what has already happened and instead clings to what is still possible. Some see only destruction, only failure, only loss, but faith looks at those same things and sees potential. A canvas waiting for new colors, a story waiting for its next chapter, a life waiting to be restored. What once seemed like devastation begins to shift, to transform, to become something new, because what is broken does not have to remain broken. What is lost does not have to remain lost. There is no force more powerful than a person who refuses to give up, who refuses to accept that their best days are gone. That kind of faith moves people beyond what they once thought possible. It takes tragedy and turns it into testimony. It takes pain and turns it into strength. It takes years that seemed wasted and fills them with purpose, making them even more valuable than if they had never been lost at all. There is no telling what lies ahead for those who choose to believe in this. Life has an extraordinary way of surprising those who refuse to give up on it. Just when it seems that all is lost, something shifts. An opportunity appears, a new path emerges, a moment of clarity transforms everything, not because the past is erased, but because it is redeemed, repurposed, and woven into a future greater than anything that came before. For those who stand at the edge of their own doubts, wondering if it is too late, wondering if there is still something more, the answer is not found in the past but in the decision made today, to believe that no matter what has been lost, what remains is still more than enough. To trust that no time is ever truly wasted when it is placed in the hands of something greater than oneself. To move forward not with fear, but with the unshakable certainty that the best is not behind them, the best is still to come. So here's the choice before you. Will you dwell in regret, in bitterness, in what-ifs? Or will you believe that God can do the impossible? Because I promise you this, if you let Him, if you surrender, if you trust, He will take your brokenness, your lost years, your shattered dreams, and turn them into something so glorious, so full of life and purpose that you will look back and say, now God restores. He always restores. Thank you.